regardless, whichever one wins, I will just be very happy for them because it'll be a wave of relief for sure.
Yeah, this is one of the issues with the UK Premiership is that I really like all of the players.
I love
so
every single player.
I never want anyone to lose.
Every single player in our UK Premiership are all just lovely chaps as well. So,
well, here we go with a Hunter mirror match to start things off. Catrick in the deck of Cipher. Is that a big kind of tell for you guys? Does that just say straight away Secret Hunter, or do you think it could be something else as well?
I mean, generally you'd say, yeah, that's going to be Secret Hunter. You don't see Catrick really running any mid-range Hunter or any aggro Hunter or anything like that. I know some people have tested it, but it's not really stuck around. So we're probably going to see the Secret Hunter out of Cipher, but it does look like a more traditional mid-range kind of Hunter for GreenSheep. I mean, Argent Squire actually is a very solid one-drop, and we've seen Argent Squire become very popular in a lot of aggro decks in general. I mean, we've even seen it replace Tunnel Trog sometimes in Shaman just because it is so hard to remove on that turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Argent Squire has become kind of like a staple of any sort of early mid-range deck as well. But with Barnes being there, you would imagine it's a fully mid-range variant for GreenSheep. And there was a borderline thought that it could be aggro of some sense, but will not be the case. Cipher, not particularly. I don't think he'd be particularly happy with his current hand. He's got double freezing trap, which against Hunter can feel kind of clunky, especially since they've got lots of low-value minions that can trade into it quite nicely. But he's going to go for the Eagle Horn Bow, I guess next turn to either think about using a double trap or a Houndmaster.
There is, of course, the possibility of it being an Enzoth Hunter as well from GreenShop. Just popping up the road to the Green Shop. GreenSheep might, with that Barnes, you never know what it's going to pull. If it can pull something like a high main, it's likely to win you the game, really, because it is just so deadly to get that on board. So will he coin it out, or is he just going to opt for the Animal Companion here? It depends what he sees as the safer play. I mean, Animal Companion could reward you with a Leok, which could then trade favourably with the Argent Squire.
Also, there's no secrets on board right now, right? So you're not worried about Snipe coming through. So I actually don't mind just going straight for Barnes. Because if you get a Savannah Hyman off this...
Well,
which he did.
So there we have it. Immediately with the well played from Cipher there, he's like... what do you even... There's not even anything you can say in that circumstance. You're just like, well... Great. It's fantastic. But then if you're looking through GreenSheep's eyes, that is one of the best feelings you can get. It
is, and it's the kind of feelings that GreenSheep hasn't been having. He hasn't really had that luck. He has been very unfortunate throughout the first and this season so far. So maybe the tides are going to start to turn for him, and maybe things are going to be in his favour. And I mean, he put himself in that situation. He coined out that Barnes rather than waiting to do it next turn. Next turn he may have drawn high main and made it less possible to get it off the top.
There was very few risks to coining Barnes here. Now, if there'd been a secret on board for Cipher, I think that there would have been a risk, because if it was Snipe, it punishes you pretty hard. You lose your 3-4 regardless, and you end up with just 2 1-1s on board, essentially. Going for the Animal Companion, if there was a secret on board, would have been the safer option. But looks like Cipher has decided that his only win condition is face, and he has another Eagle Horn Bow in hand too, so next turn it can be Eagle Horn Bow plus secret.
He's playing old school Hunter then, just go face. SM Orc coming out from Cipher here. But we'll see what GreenSheep opts to do. He's obviously got this 1-1 Savannah High main on board, which can be an incredibly powerful tool, but generally speaking, it's about popping that tool, but you don't want to be the one to pop it.
No.
It's a kind of a tricky one, because if it's ignored, it actually can become a fairly useless minion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You don't want to proc that Death Rattle, you want to have it as a backup plan. Now, GreenSheep had multiple options here. He could have used Quick Shot and got a free trade with his Argent Squire. He's actually going to pop it himself. He's just going for full board presence. This gets severely punished by something like Explosive Trap. So he has to be fairly sure that Explosive Trap is not being run by Cipher.
Well played.
I mean, not many people are running Explosive Trap in the Secret Hunter, but, well, we definitely didn't see it out of the guys in the last game, but you're right. I mean, it does feel weird popping it, but at the same time, you just want to put as much board presence as possible. You really want to try and run it down, especially when you notice that Cipher is hitting face a lot. Seeing the huge Toad in the deck would definitely suggest this is Enzoth Hunter, and the fact that you have already had a high main die as well, that's going to feel good if it does get to that late game. I'm not sure we might not even get to turn 10 at this rate.
I think what's happening right now for Cipher is he's essentially said there is only one win condition for me, and that is go face. But it looks like GreenSheep is going to go face that much harder, and the clock is starting to tick. I think that's almost next turn lethal right now for GreenSheep. So 1 turn lethal for Greensheep. Cipher's got to pull.
Kill command off the top would win the game for Cipher.
Also unleash the hounds.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't win the game. I lied. He'd be 2 off.
He's got 7. He's got quick shot as well. That's not quite enough. Because that's 8 from hand plus 3, which is 11 plus 15. He's got 15, so we'd need. Unleash the hounds would have been lethal, I think. Because that's 6 plus 10 plus. No, it wouldn't have been lethal either.
Unleash the hounds would have been 1 off. Another kill command would have been 2 off. Currently has 17. He would have had 17 if he'd managed to get another kill command anyway. But yeah, right now Greensheep in a commanding position, and as we've said, Freezing Trap not really run in these kind of decks. Quick shot having to be used just to try and control some of the incoming damage right now, and actually just going to hit face with the Cat in the Hat as well. Or in fact, no, that was his Eagle Horn Bow attacking. He's going to keep that stealth.
Yeah, actually, that's a clever play from Cipher. He
keeps
plays
kill command, right?
Yeah, he keeps kill command. He plays the freezing trap. He gets another bow charge. He's got 5 damage next turn. This actually could be lethal for Cipher.
He's already dead.
Oh, he's already dead. Yeah, he's quick shot. Yeah, for sure. Forgot about quick shot. That's a real card.
Well, ripping pepperonis. That is going to be Cipher going down for the first one. Greensheep with a very quick win, and I suppose that's what happens when you have these Hunter versus Hunter matchups. Generally speaking, it's not going to be one that lasts all too long, and I think in most versions of the Hunter mirror, it's going to last until you've seen like maximum 2 or 3 Call of the Wilds, and then that's pretty much always going to be the end.
So Cipher made the correct play because it's set up for next turn lethal for him. So keeping, like you said, the stealth cat essentially meant that he was going to be able to push damage with the kill command next turn, and he had the hero power and bow to get the 10 damage he needed. So that was the correct play, but like we saw obviously, and I for some reason forgot quick shot was a real card, Greensheep already had enough power on board.
Well, this time we are going to be seeing a Beast Druid come out from Greensheep here. Menagerie Warden in his lineup.
Savage Roar as well.
Interesting that Greensheep's brought Beast Druid as well, because last week Cipher did lose to Jambre's Beast Druid, so perhaps Greensheep's taken a look at that and he's decided he's going to bring it and try and replicate what Jambre did to Cipher. Cipher actually brought Fatigue Warrior last week, so he has opted for Enzoth this time, and I think that's what happens in these first few weeks. Players kind of find a different meta within this competition. You kind of learn what players are bringing and what kind of playstyle is going to work here.
So this Loot Hoarder is going to be throwing up warning signs in Greensheep's head, because now he has to think, is this 1-turn kill warrior, is this Enzoth warrior, or is this just a random Loot Hoarder? All of which Loot Hoarder could be included in.
It could definitely be included in random Loot Hoarder.
Yeah.
What it says to him then is, this could be anything.
This could be a warrior.
I mean, okay, obviously Loot Hoarder likely in a control variant. That's what I meant. But,
yes, of course.
You know, the most classic warrior deck that you would see Loot Hoarder in, because it's not completely staple for Enzoth Warrior.
Correct,
the classic warrior you see it in is 1-turn kill Worgen Warrior, because you want to cycle that as hard as you can in that particular deck. I'm not sure if the new variant with Commanding Shout and Pyromancers run that, because they have so much card draw anyway. But it looks like we're going to get a nice clean turn 4 with the coin, I think, here to use the bash into... just slam into Fiery War, because that wasn't even a coin, because that was used on Elise.
Now, when we saw Beast Druid last week from Jambre, he was up against a Malygos Druid, which just allowed him to kind of get that board presence and start pushing loads of damage into face. I don't know if Greensheep is going to get that same opportunity here, because the Enzoth Warrior has so much removal. It's going to be able to kind of get some board control here, especially that he's managed to get at least Starseeker on the board nice and early. It's a fantastic 4-drop to have, not only just because it's the 3/5, but of course it can put that golden monkey into your deck that you might need to use later on.
So Cipher is now split between using Bash and Hero Power and just going straight for the Ironforge portal, but he wants to go for Bash and actually equip another Fiery Warlock, so develops that for next turn 2. Quite a slow hand from Greensheep as well. He probably would have wanted these Danasis Aspirants and Druid of the Sabres earlier on. Just, unfortunately, he was stuck with Savage Roar, Savage Combatant, Swipe, and Druid of the Claw in hand to begin with, which is a very slow hand for the Beast Druid.
And there's not a turn here, really, for Greensheep that looks nice. I mean, there's a possibility of Swipe plus Hero Power just to clear the board, but just clearing the board doesn't feel enough when you're trying to build up this board presence. But then your other options is Savage Combatant plus Hero Power, but you still can't clear the board that way, and you know it's going to be dealt with. So everything feels a little bit awkward right now.
Sure.
Well, did also have the Druid of the Sabers available. I don't think he's wanting to use those just yet. And often you'll see Druid of the Saber used in combination with Menagerie Warden for that extra bit of burst damage. So potentially saving those for later on in the game and using them not necessarily just for that aggression, but also to kind of contest board. You know, those charges can be so useful when it comes to the trades later on.
Oh wow, he procs Revenge already. Because he's managed to just take down the... sorry, he uses Revenge already because he just uses that 1 damage. He doesn't think he's going to need it later on. And it just gives him a clean, infested Tauren coming through as well.
Curator dropped here, but should be relatively simple to deal with for Cipher. Obviously, Fiery War Axe and Bash available. Also got Elise that would be... Yeah, you ideally don't really want to trade Elise because she would go down, but it actually is going to opt for that one. I guess favouring having the removal in hand.
I think he prefers this because he can Iron Forge Portal and Hero Power afterwards. There's no point playing Justicar now because you don't actually get the value out of it this turn. Next turn, you're thinking, okay, you know, he's thinking straight Justicar. I was thinking that next turn he was going to go Justicar into Hero Power on turn 8, but I think maybe thinking about Grom as well.
So it's whether now GreenSheep will put some minions on the board with stealth to try and set up some sort of Savage Raw play here. I mean, Cipher isn't at the greatest of life totals. We can see that he's got the ability to armor up. GreenSheep will certainly be thinking about what his win condition is here.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it does look like he's just trying to build as much board presence as possible.
I've got to say, it's impressive how low GreenSheep's managed to get Cipher, considering it's not really felt like there's been that much pressure going out or anything, but Cypher's down to 11 HP.
You've got to remember, he's cycled 4 charges of Fiery War Axe into quite high health targets. Yeah. It's almost like Cipher has beaten himself up, but it has given him quite a huge board presence. He's also going to go for a bash onto the Dionysus Aspirant as well. Not a great 4-drop to get, by the way.
Well, it is the taunt, and against the Beast Druid, I think that's quite an important factor. I think in this specific matchup, I'd rather have the 3/3 taunt than just a standard 4/4.
No, sure.
So what I'd like from GreenSheep now, I think, is the swipe onto the okay. Just the swipe with Azure Drake is quite nice here in terms of clearing the board.
Yeah.
But even without the Azure Drake, he could have just used a swipe to remove most of the board, remove both of the taunts, and then played a couple of those stealth minions.
This gets rid of everything for GreenSheep with the Innovate too, though. It's the way he was setting it up. He wanted to make sure he got maximum value out of that swipe. And now it's going to put Cipher in a slightly awkward position.
Certainly will get some serious value out of that one. Still a turn away from Zoth. Does have 2 shield slams though, so would be able to deal with...
I mean, actually, there is, I think, 20 damage available next turn for GreenSheep.
Yeah,
if not 21.
If Cipher doesn't clear, which he can clear completely, and I think he is thinking about it.
Yeah, I think you obviously shield slam, then just Grom to charge into the other minion. And I think Cipher is going to be well aware that Savage Roar is definitely going to be something that he has to be concerned about at this stage in the game. Druid of the Saber going to be dropped probably in stealth here, just because at this point you don't need that 2 damage on charge. It's much better to set it up for next turn.
It's a big hit right there for Cipher, but it also does mean he can get rid of Rag. I almost feel like N'Zoth has to come down now because you need that Infested Tauren. But is that going to be enough? I think even if Infested Tauren comes through, that's
not enough, because I mean he's got enough burst damage in hand anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I don't think, because it's only 1 Infested Tauren that has died, isn't it?
Yeah.
You assume he would trade the Grom into the Ragnaros, play N'Zoth, but
it won't be enough
with Savage Roar plus Druid of the Saber and Living Roots as well. Hero Power too.
It's lethal for GreenSheep.
Should be lethal for GreenSheep. Now, I don't think... I mean, is the other option Brawl, hope that Grom wins? Hero Power up? Does that even save you? No, probably not.
Yeah, unfortunately that's just lethal right now for GreenSheep. He's got it if he can see it, which I'm sure he will be able to.
I think as a long-time Zoo player, GreenSheep will be one of the people that is expert at counting lethal as one of the it's one of the most important skills in Hearthstone, just in general, just because, you know, that's kind of how you win the game, right? Here we go, though. Savage Roar coming on through. That's going to be a boatload of damage into the face of Cipher. That's going to be the game going the way of GreenSheep. So 2-0 now to GreenSheep. Cipher struggling in this matchup.
Dan's looking at me like your prediction's going to go down the drain. I had to lose the streak at some point, though, you know. So
it's about time that GreenSheep got some luck on his side, and I think the decision of Beast Druid was a good one.
I had predicted 3-2 to Cipher.
You did?
I still believe in my boy.
I did say 3-1 to Cipher, so that's out the window now.
Yeah. You're ready to lose, man.
I'm already lost. I've already lost.
Rest in peace. Here we go. It is going to be the Disco Zoo. Get out your mirror balls, ladies and gentlemen.
So he's gone back to what he used in week 1 rather than going for the more traditional zoo list. And I think this is a fairly good matchup against N'Zoth Warrior as well, especially if Cipher can't get the early removal. Ravaging Ghoul might make a difference.
Unrelenting pressure from this.
Much pressure
from this Zoolock.
I mean, we saw the pressure that happened from Beast Druid, and even when he was so far behind, he wasn't able to play those early minions, so it's going to be even worse now having the Zoolock on board. And if he can get something to discard that Silverware Golem, I mean, it's always tough to take when you see that just get thrown onto the board for free.
No Fiery War Axe for Cipher either, so you know, the biggest tool that you have against your Zoolock counterpart is not there.
He may have to use this slam just to remove the Flame Imp here.
I feel like he does, to be honest. He's got the bash next turn. I just feel like start removing things as quickly as possible. You don't get the value out of it, but...
Yeah, but I think the key thing, right, is just maintain control of the board. Do not let the zoo get out of control, because that is the point of the game where you will really start to suffer. But Cipher, he's not got much in the way of board presence himself. Can't really drop the Ravaging Gore because you just end up proccing a minion from your opponent.
Now, Cipher could, having seen the coin, use Bash and set up for a good Ravaging Ghoul next turn. But I feel like it's a slightly weak play because it does make it very obvious that you've got a Ravaging Ghoul. Has to go for the armor up instead, and this is going to be mounting pressure from GreenSheep, and without that Fiery War Axe, Cipher will be struggling.
Certainly will. Revenge will be nice, though, later on in the game. Certainly something to be working with. Do you even consider going for the hero power, then shield slam the Knife Juggler?
Yeah,
no, I'm not adverse to that. I think that's a perfectly viable play. What are you saving your shield slams for? You've just got to try and stop as much pressure as possible and hope you can draw into something that can kind of take control of this board. I mean, Infested Taurian would be great to get out nice and early.
I like the Bash as well, but both of them achieve the same option. The thing about having Shield Slam as a warrior in this matchup is you're probably, without Justicar, never going to build a armor value high enough where it's going to be scary. So, you know, or rather, you know, where it's going to be getting big Shield Slams to deal with things like Doomguard or deal with anything post 4 health, really. So, tap into Direwolf seems like a solid play, and that is where GreenSheep will go. Yeah,
I like that decision. I mean, a lot of people would probably have thought about maybe playing Darkshield Councilman off the curve there, but you're worried about things like Execute, like Shield Slam, and just being punished. Instead, he's just putting on little annoying minions and trying to force those removals.
Does GreenSheep respect this? Because that's a big... Well, now it's going to be, what, a 2 damage revenge? Because it's a 1+1 damage, I think, on Ogre Magi.
Yeah, that could actually be a huge factor in this game if he does go for the revenge. Whether or not we see the trade out of GreenSheep, but the thing is, it does have Soulfire yet, so
that's a 1 in 3.
What's he going to get? No, just gets rid of his Direwolf Alpha, so not ideal, but, you know, at the same time, does have a pretty terrifying board right now, so not a huge concern.
Brawl would be pretty solid for Cipher.
Just an Execute would be nice. Cipher has not been having a fun time of it in this series right now. Doesn't even have the clear available. Even if he goes with a Revenge and a Ravaging Ghoul, still only deals with the Direwolf and spawns 2 imps, no less.
Yeah, Infested Taurian will help soak up a tiny, teeny little bit of pressure, but the board is just going to get overwhelmingly scary from GreenSheep, and Cipher's just going to be summing up what can he draw into? What is his win condition here? He just has to do whatever it takes to survive. He is going to have to start using those shield slams soon, but at the moment, it's been awkward turns where he's not been able to gain any armor to use those shield slams, so it begs the question, maybe earlier a shield slam on that knife juggler may have been better than the bash. You never know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, it's hard to build an armor value up against a losing Zoo matchup. I think the key things that are going to be big here for Cipher is a revenge into Ravaging Ghoul combo, whether GreenSheep plays around that, or just Brawl. He needs to just have that card out somewhere. You're thinking about Gorehowl next turn. It is just far too slow right now.
Surprised GreenSheep tapped there when he had the kind of perfect turn of Argus into Soulfire, but I guess, yeah, he's just worried about that Brawl, isn't he?
You don't want to overcommit, right?
Doesn't want to overcommit the board.
That's one of the biggest things is Zoo. Someone once told me, I can't remember who it was, but they basically said, lull, not overcommitting as Zoo. There is this element that if he did overcommit with that play, and there was a Brawl, he probably almost instantaneously loses.
Instead, if there is a Brawl, he now has the tools to refill very easily. So, smart decision from GreenSheep.
Let's have a look. What are the plays that could happen here for GreenSheep the following turn? He's got 4, 7, 10, 16 plus 17 if he plays Dark Peddler. No. Overpower, Overwhelming, and then Soulfire would be lethal? Or even just double Soulfire?
I'm not sure.
Or Doomguard.
Or Doomguard.
Well, Doomguard would be great.
He's got double chance here to get a Power Overwhelming on Soulfire and find lethal. And that also gives an extra damage to his Darkshire Huntsman. You would hedge your bets that somewhere down here, GreenSheep's going to pick up something that's going to give him lethal.
Yeah, it wouldn't be overwhelmingly surprising at this stage. There's another Peddler, but doesn't actually get any immediate damage. And Soulfire, unfortunately, obviously running out of opportunities to summon Silverware Golem. However, the board is full anyway, so wouldn't have been an option. Because I was in off the top, but not going to make a difference here. We'll just have to throw those bodies into face, and we are going to be getting into revenge territory now. So maybe this is the opportunity for Cipher. He can clear the vast majority of this board with Gorehowl as well. This is actually certainly the best turn Cipher's had, however, insanely low on HP.
Yeah, now you have to armor up and shield slam, of course.
You have to armor up and shield slam. You cannot tank 6 damage to the face right now as Cipher.
But the thing is, GreenSheep can just kind of build up a board once again. He's not going to be scared about putting Flame Imps. He's not going to be worried about taking that 6 damage, I don't think. He's just going to want to build up some sort of board. What he will be worried about is that Brawl, because he hasn't seen the Brawl. He's just had his board dealt with without a Brawl even coming into question. But it's whether... We saw this last week, but with the Fatigue Warrior instead, where you're constantly on the back foot and you're just hoping for a good draw off the top. You're hoping for that removal. You're hoping for that armor gain just to stay alive.
I think you can just flood the board here now and say, am I worried about Brawl? Can I afford to be worried about Brawl? Like, you can get a really nice turn here with double Flame Imp, Soulfire, deal with the 3/3, and you get your Silverware Golem on board. Or even just Soulfire face. But clearing the board's probably safe.
I was going to say, I like clearing the 3/3 there. Obviously, you're basically just mind controlling their 3/3, right? At the end of the day, as you going to end up with that Silverware Golem. And again, the hand just consistently being refilled. However, that's went down to just 13 HP.
Dunzo.
But I think you might be right on that one, Kiernan. Now, he can drop Cairn, armor, and shield slam.
He can stay alive on board.
But we know there is an abusive sergeant in hand.
Which doesn't actually win in the game. Not quite.
No, not quite. No, that's true. He's got 12 to go up against. He's going to trade in there, which will mean he's going to take out 9, and he's only got 3, 4, 5, 7. So he needs another form of damage.
Marcus Imp is not going to be it. Let's see what the tap will bring.
Ooh.
That's not it either.
So actually...
At 11 HP as well.
Yeah, we're getting to territory now where GreenSheep is not far different from his opponent's health total.
Is that Gorehowl 5 attack?
5 attack,
I believe so, yeah.
You would almost say that he has to trade, almost like has to trade in, or at least provide that, that taunt in form of Voidwalker.
What kind of burst damage do you have from the warrior? Is there anything that
Bash.
can win you the game? But even Bash, you would just remove the Void Walker, right?
Yeah, maybe if you drew Grommash
Brawl
into
would
something.
be heavenly.
That's
Harrison
not Brawl.
doesn't. Harrison, you are not Brawl.
Well, N'Zoth really doesn't achieve much. We've seen Infested Tauren. I think that's it. I think that's
it,
the only
yeah.
death rattle we saw. So that is unfortunately for Cipher going to be a 3-0 the way of GreenSheep. So to be honest, like we'd predicted